there, Virgo. Welcome to a video about attracting abundance. I'm going to be doing 2 tarot readings, hopefully this month. That's my intention, about abundance. 2 abundance readings. The first one is about attracting abundance, and then at the last half of the month at some point, I'm going to be doing a reading that I have done in the past multiple times where I might just like do the rest of 2025, for instance, because it'll probably be like October through December, something around that time frame. And so the reason I'm doing them in 2 parts is because they're 2 different types of readings. This reading is from a website called Emerald Lotus Divination. I've actually done this spread before. I want to give them credit because I didn't make up this spread. And so it's just kind of like, I think, kind of interesting to contemplate the issue of abundance. What does it even mean for you? Because a lot of people just think it's dollars and cents. And it's really a feeling of having enough in general where you feel peace. You feel at peace because, there are people who have a lot of money in the bank and they still are haunted. They're still feeling like they don't have enough money. What will happen? And some people may have a lot of money and they feel like they are lonely. That's a type of lack consciousness too, because you can be alone and not be lonely. You can have very little financial resources and feel safe and feel like you have enough. So it's not dependent on a specific circumstance. And I do believe that a lot of times people are not practicing enough gratitude in their lives. And it's creating a sense of lack. Okay, so I'm just going to lay out the cards and then I'll tell you what each position means. I'm referring to my iPad on the side here so I can know exactly how to lay out these cards, what order they belong in. Okay. Wow, very interesting. You got 3 major arcana cards. I shouldn't be surprised though, because September is a big month for Virgo, and there may be a lot of shifts in your life in general. Okay, your current relationship with allowing abundance. This is the Queen of Swords. So this can be like a very analytical point of view. There can be some intuitive tendency seeping through because the Queen is connected with water. But you may be like preventing yourself from things that are impulse purchases because they tend to come from the emotions, and you're trying to be thinking logically about things. So there's like an analytical approach to your finances. And, that I'm just going to continue because we'll see how that shakes out. How do you get yourself in alignment? Well, first of all, I'm not suggesting that all the people who are watching this are misaligned with their abundance. And we'll just look at it primarily as material abundance. I'm not going to assume that all of you have that issue. If you have an issue where you know intellectually that you have enough and you still feel insecure, then I would say that's more of, on the energetic level, like the chakras. The third chakra is in particular connected to money, and it's the power chakra. So maybe it's like the person who feels like they're disempowered feels like they're like at the whim of the universe. Like if something that like something can just suddenly happen and everything could get turned upside down. Yes, it's technically true, but it's also more likely in someone who already has like a shaky foundation than just any random person. In terms of how you get yourself in alignment, the Six of Wands is a card of victory. It's connected to Leo, and it's connected to a feeling of taking your bow and receiving accolades. How I see it as something we're doing for ourselves is honoring ourselves. So the person who stays in a job because it pays the bills, but is feeling degraded by that job, I don't feel that that's good for alignment, for an alignment of abundance. So, do you sell yourself short? I guess I would ask, and not doing so, making sure that your choices honor yourself. And that sense of self-respect will translate into attracting abundance. The energy that you need to integrate to have an enlightened perspective on abundance, the star card. So what I'm saying, an enlightened perspective, I'm bringing in the spiritual. The star card is connected to Aquarius, which rules the 11th house of hopes and wishes, as well as gains, by the way, as well as gains, financial gains to your business. And it's about faith and unseen forces. So basically, when we're trying to manifest something, it begins in the invisible realms. I did not make that up. I was reading this in a book about manifestation, and it immediately spoke to me because I said that's exactly what it is. And the author said, first, when you're first in that creative mode of trying to bring something into the material, you have to conceive of it in the immaterial realms. So for an earth sign like Virgo, this can be very disorienting. You can feel like everything has to be physical in order for you to work with it. And yet, no, ideas are not coming from the physical plane. They're coming from the mental plane, which is intangible. But also the faith of unseen forces. You have to have faith that what it is that you're conceiving is going to actually pan out, that you're going to be able to make it happen. And there are a number of things that go into that, including your own, how much you love yourself, trust yourself, believe in yourself. That's not something you can fake. That's something, Virgo is a sign that tends to be very self-critical. Maybe you doubt yourself a lot, and that's not a crime, but it's just saying that you have to learn how to be more trusting of yourself, and I would say that has to do with the intuition, that that you're being called to do something, even if it logically doesn't seem like it makes sense, because this is what, the swords are connected to the intellect. But but the queen is the water element, which is more intuitive than intellectual. Okay, the next card is the current blessing that you should be grateful for. The death card. Something is leaving your life. Something is ending, Virgo. There's lunar eclipse in your opposite sign, in the sign of Pisces. that will be happening on the 7th or the 8th, depending on where you live in the world. And there could be some kind of major ending. It will probably either affect your relationship sector, the opposite house, the 7th house, or for some, it might be in your 6th house of work. And whatever happens, even if you don't instigate it, you don't initiate it, and maybe that makes you feel uncomfortable because you feel like you're at the mercy of something, it can be something that is going to, like, in the long run, be the best thing that ever happened to you, but you just don't know it right now. It just seems like a loss, it seems like a change, an ending, and you might feel a little bit uncomfortable by those things, but it doesn't mean that it's not for your highest good. The last card is, what should I be investing my energy into to attract abundance? The Hanged Man. This one is actually connected to Neptune, which is a ruler of Pisces, so that opposite sign energy. The Hanged One, or the Hanged Man, um, is a card of sacrifice, but it's also a card of surrender. And it's funny because I heard someone else, I think it was like an astrologer, I don't know, but say exactly what I always say, that surrender is not the same thing as sacrifice. It was actually somebody who wrote a book on manifestation, interestingly enough, and saying that surrender isn't like you're giving up or anything like that. It's actually that you're not fighting life anymore. You're letting go and you're letting God. And that's how you um, invest your energy, strangely enough. Now, you might say, how does that invest energy just to do nothing? Because you're not just doing nothing. What you're doing is you're letting go of resistance. You're allowing, the art of allowing, which is part of the manifestation. I was going to say ritual, but process. And it is passive. And it is something that is not, is not like thought of probably by most people as an actual action, but it is an action. And it can be a great challenge to a Virgo person because you want to be productive and have something to show for your time, and not doing anything doesn't really accomplish that, right? Well, not really, because maybe you need to slow down. Maybe you need to stop pushing all the time. And then you will see those kinds of results in your life. All right, that's what I have for you, Virgo. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you'd like a private reading, be it astrology or the tarot or both, I have package deals that have, for multiple readings, and I have, career readings, love readings, transit readings, natal chart readings. You can find out more information at the link below. Thanks for watching. Bye.